The story of the Qin Dynasty is always shown with a unique brilliance throughout the long history of China. People admire the grandeur of the mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang and the majestic terracotta army. Recall the majesty of the Great Wall built in the north, resisting the Xiongnu for over 700 miles. And admire the heroic spirit of the king of Qin sweeping across the world. His gaze is a tiger, and wielding his sword to split the clouds. Bringing all the princes westward, textbooks clearly state that the Qin dynasty unified China, establishing the first unified multi-ethnic feudal state in Chinese history. Yet, few question, where did this great empire come from? How did it achieve its victory in reality? The Qin dynasty's rise from obscurity to the center of history took at least 500 years and the lifetimes of 30 generations. And after unifying the country, it collapsed in a mere 15 years, less than the running time of the anime Qin's Moon. The beginning of humiliation, Western vassalage. After the fall of the Shang dynasty, the Yin clan, descendants of its founding heroes, lost their greatest support. When the Zhou established the Western Zhou dynasty, they joined the descendants of the Shang king in a counterattack, but were quickly suppressed. Like stray dogs, they were driven westward to the barbaric land of Shiquanshi, present-day Qianshui, Gansu, where they lived alongside the uncivilized Rong people. Within the Zhou political system, the Yin clan received no land, no chariots, no bronze artifacts, and existed in poverty, confined to the westernmost edge of Zhou rule. The weak Yin clan could only become lickers, eagerly serving the Zhou royal family in order to survive in the relatively arid Shiquanshi. They subsisted by hunting and animal husbandry, specializing in horse breeding and chariot driving during the reign of King Xi of Zhou. To ward off the invasions of the Western Rong, the status of a Rong was elevated to that of a vassal, and a city was built at Qinyu, present-day Zhongjiachuan, Gansu. A vassal was not a vassal state, but merely dependent upon the vassal states, lacking even the right to pay tribute directly to the Zhou emperor. It wasn't until the reign of King Zhuan of Zhou that the Qin leader was granted the title of Grand Master of the Western Ku. But he was still firmly blocked from entering Guanzhong by the princes of the Ji clan. Opportunity and rise, the path of the princes. In 771 BC, the Rong invaded Guanzhong, captured the capital Heijing, and killed Qinyu of Zhou, bringing about the end of the Western Zhou dynasty. The Qin helped the Zhou emperor relocate eastward to Luoyang, receiving an unexpected reward. The Zhou emperor recognized the Qin leader, Duke Xiang of Qin, as a vassal and granted them the territory west of Mount Qi in Guanzhong. The Qin state was officially established. However, the title of Zhou emperor was no longer valuable, and Guanzhong was effectively controlled by the Rong to gain control of this territory. The Qin could only resort to force. They fought bitter battles with the Rong people for years, and Duke Xiang of Qin himself died during the campaign. The cry who says I have no clothes, I share my robes with you. From the Book of Songs, Qin Feng, really truly captures the life and death bond between the Qin ruler and his subjects during this period. Ultimately, the Qin defeated the Rong king, expanded 12 states, and conquered 1,000 miles of territory, securing a firm foothold in Guanzhong. In this former Zhou royal territory, the Qin state demonstrated unique institutional innovations. It established the earliest county system in Chinese literature, with local officials directly appointed and dismissed by the monarch rather than inherited. Bronze ritual vessels, military chariots, and brick and tile palaces, previously unseen, appeared in Qin. The Qin monarch even performed sacrifices on behalf of the Zhou emperor on Mount Yang as a demonstration of his superior power. A caged beast, Eastern contempt. Despite its control of Guanzhong, the Qin state remained on the fringes of the advanced cultural sphere centered on the great Eastern powers. Compared to the Eastern powers of Che, Jin, Song, and Shu, which were in fief during the Western Zhou dynasty, Qin was a relatively young state. Its subjects were composed entirely of descendants of Rong, Zhou, and Shang peoples, with virtually no blood ties. Human sacrifice was extremely common in Qin. Duke Wu of Qin buried 66 people with him, and Duke Mu of Qin buried 177 people with him. The excavated Qin tomb No. 1 in Yongdi revealed a staggering 186 people buried with him, making it the largest human sacrifice burial site in the Zhou dynasty. The Eastern powers despised Qin as a barbarian and never met with it for alliances. Even Confucius, during his travels, did not visit Qin. Blocked and despised, Qin was like a frail tiger in a cage. Hangu Pass, its only exit to the east, was firmly controlled by Qin and later Wei's land reform greatly increased its power, even building fortifications deep within Guangzhou, like a sharp sword piercing the heart of Qin. Changing fate against heaven, Xiangyong's reform. In a time of crisis, the Qin state encountered Xiangyong, the son of a royal family from the state of Wei, who advocated for rule of law. Found fertile ground for his theories in Qin. With the support of Duke Zhou of Qin, Xiangyong relocated the capital to Xianyang and, through decrees, redefined the livelihood of the Qin people. In peacetime, farming and weaving were emphasized, with those with high harvests exempted from corvée labor and those with low harvests enslaved. In wartime, military merit was emphasized, with the capture of an armored soldier's head earning a higher rank of nobility, along with 100 acres of fertile land and a house. Less than 30 years after Xiangyong's reforms, the state of Wei was forced to surrender its lands west of the Yellow River and Hangu Pass. Qin finally gained full control of Guangzhou, enabling it to attack or defend. Xiangyong and the Qin state mutually benefited each other. Qin provided Xiangyong with a testing ground for rule of law, while Xiangyong transformed Qin into a high-speed state machine. Citizens were considered state property, positions were determined by talent, and people of different ethnicities and surnames could hold high positions, leveraging its latecomer advantage. Qin achieved a leapfrogging advantage during a period of profound change. Hengzong Lianheng, the road to unification. After breaking through Hangu Pass, Qin faced the Hengzong alliance of the 6 eastern states. It responded with a Lianheng strategy, employing the strategy of making friends with distant states and attacking nearby ones to defeat them one by one, with each state conquered. The Qin Emperor built a palace in the style of that state in Xianyang. In 221 BC, Qin Shi Huang finally unified the 6 states, establishing the first unified dynasty in Chinese history. Qin Shi Huang implemented a series of far-reaching measures, standardizing the written language, currency, weights and measures, and wheel tracks, and building the Qin Chidao, a highway connecting the entire country. Simultaneously, numerous unprecedented mega-projects were launched, including the Mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, the Terracotta Army, the Great Wall, and the Afong Palace. The Terracotta Army demonstrates an astonishing level of technological sophistication. The average deviation of the base of each of the 40,000 arrowheads is only 0.83 millimeters, representing humanity's earliest example of large-scale standardized production. The bronze chariots and horses are composed of over 3,000 parts, utilizing advanced techniques such as rust prevention, welding, and inlaying. Rapid collapse, 15 years of fate. However, behind this ultimate splendor lies extreme oppression. The Qin dynasty had a population of 40 million, and additional conscription reached 20 million, accounting for 50% of the total population. The state machinery operated at high speed, but people are not parts after all. The Chensheng and Wuguang uprising was hailed as an uprising to destroy the unjust and punish the tyrannical Qin. The Qin dynasty lasted only 15 years before its fall. From the perspective of China's 5,000-year history, Qin Shi Huang ended the fragmentation and separatism that had lasted for over 500 years during the Spring and Autumn period and the Warring States period. establishing the first unified feudal dynasty in Chinese history. This feat not only achieved territorial unification but also achieved unprecedented integration and innovation in institutions, culture, and the economy, laying a solid foundation for the subsequent 2,000 years of feudal development in China.